नमस्कार। भारतीय फिल्म और टेलीविजन संस्थान के स्टाफ, स्टूडेंट्स और फैकल्टी की तरफ से आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। स्वर्णांजलि के ये एक और बहुत ही बेहतरीन कार्यक्रम में एक उपक्रम जो हमने शुरू किया है टू पे ट्रिब्यूट टू आवर ओन पीपल ऑफ आवर इंडस्ट्री। तो आज का ये जो भाग है, ये जो फूल है, वो समर्पित है स्वर्गीय श्री राज खोसला जी के नाम। गूगल मीट के माध्यम से और फेसबुक लाइव के माध्यम से हमसे जुड़ने वाले सभी का मैं बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। राज खोसला साहब, जिन्होंने 1954 में अपनी पहली फिल्म बनाई जिसका नाम था मिलाप, और 1989 में अपनी आखिरी फिल्म बनाई जिसका नाम था नकाब, मगर इन दोनों के बीच में उन्होंने बहुत बड़ा काम किया। वैसे देखा जाए तो ये है सिर्फ 35 साल का एक समय, मगर उसमें उन्होंने 28 फिल्में बनाई। उस 28 फिल्मों में 26 फिल्म का निर्देशन उन्होंने किया, एक फिल्म प्रोड्यूस की। वो प्रोड्यूस की, उसमें उसके पीछे भी एक बहुत अच्छी चीज है। उनके जो गुरु थे, गुरु दत्त साहब, उन्होंने राज खोसला साहब के लिए एक फिल्म प्रोड्यूस की थी, क्योंकि राज खोसला साहब गुरु दत्त साहब के असिस्टेंट थे। तो अपने असिस्टेंट के लिए खोसला साहब ने भी एक फिल्म प्रोड्यूस की जिसके डायरेक्टर थे पद्मनाभ जी। उस फिल्म का नाम था दो चोर। तो उन्होंने ये चीज आगे कायम रखी, अपने गुरु से जो सीख उन्होंने ली थी। और एक फिल्म जो ऐसी थी जिसके लिए उन्होंने सुनील दत्त साहब की मदद करी थी। तो ऐसी कुल मिला के 28 फिल्में उन्होंने सिर्फ 35 साल में बनाई, जो कि एक अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा काम है। और खोसला साहब को हम में से गए हुए इस जून के महीने में 30 साल हो रहे। तो इसी वजह से हमने सोचा कि खोसला साहब को एक श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करनी चाहिए। तो उसी की वजह से आज का ये स्मरणांजलि कार्यक्रम है। खोसला साहब ने एन दत्ता जी के साथ अपने करियर की शुरुआत की। म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर पहला काम जो उनका था वो एन दत्ता साहब का था, मगर उसके बाद कई अलग अलग म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर के साथ उन्होंने काम किया। और एक बहुत अच्छा खूबसूरत काम उन्होंने आर डी बर्मन साहब के साथ भी किया था। 2-3 फिल्में उन्होंने उनके साथ की। और आज आर डी बर्मन साहब का बर्थ एनिवर्सरी है, आज जन्मदिन है उनका। तो हम कोशिश ये करेंगे कि इसी बहाने आर डी बर्मन साहब और खोसला साहब का एक साथ किया हुआ काम भी देखे, कुछ याद करें उनकी भी। आज के हमारे इस कार्यक्रम में राज खोसला साहब के लाइफ के बारे में, उनके काम के बारे में बातें करने के लिए, हमसे उस कई चीज़ों को उजागर करने के लिए बहुत गुणी और ज्ञानी विद्वान लोग हमारे बीच में आज मौजूद है। और मेरे साथ उनसे बात करने के लिए है वैदेही संचेती, जो कि FTII की ही पास आउट है, स्क्रीन प्ले राइटिंग की, और राइटर है खुद। तो मैं वैदेही से अनुरोध करूंगा कि हमारे आज के पैनल को इंट्रोड्यूस करें।
आगे हमारे जो मेहमान हैं उनसे मिलते हैं। आज खासकर हम लोग बहुत खुशकिस्मत हैं कि खोसला साहब के परिवार से उनकी बेटी अनीता खोसला, उनकी जो कि आज भी खोसला प्रोडक्शंस की प्रोप्राइटर भी हैं, वो भी हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। उसी के साथ ही साथ GM कपूर साहब और उमा जी, जो उनकी दूसरी बेटी उमा जी खोसला, ये भी हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। दोनों लोग बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया और आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत स्वागत। इसी के साथ ही आप बहुत सारे लोग जानते भी होंगे और कुछ लोगों को नहीं पता होगा, तो खोसला साहब की बायोग्राफी, उनकी जीवनी पर काम चल रहा है। और अनीता जी, कपूर साहब, उमा जी, सभी लोग मिलकर इस जीवनी पर काम कर रहे हैं। और इस जीवनी को लिख रहे हैं अम्बरीश रॉयचौधरी, जो खुद एक बहुत ही फिल्मों से बेहद प्यार करने वाले, फिल्म बफ जिसे हम कहते हैं, साथ ही साथ फिल्मों के बारे में लिखने वाले। इन्होंने किताब लिखी है, कई विविध कार्यक्रमों में इन्होंने बहुत सारा उल्लेखनीय योगदान भी दिया है। और आज एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण व्यक्ति हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं, जो कि हमारे सबके चहेते शिक्षक भी, करण बाली जी, और हमारे काफी सीनियर फिल्म मेकर हैं, FTII के एलुमनाई रह चुके हैं और फिल्म डायरेक्शन के पास आउट है। हम हमारे बहुत प्यारे और चहेते शिक्षक हैं ये, क्योंकि आप विषय कोई भी उठा लें और करण जी के पास कुछ न कुछ ऐसा कहने के लिए होगा जो आपने कहीं नहीं सुना होगा। तो बहुत बहुत स्वागत करण जी, और आपकी ढेर सारी प्यारी बातें सुनने के लिए हम लोग उत्सुक हैं। इसी के साथ एक विशेष मेहमान है हमारे साथ, जिनका योगदान हम देखेंगे कि कार्यक्रम में चार चांद जरूर लगाएगा, जो कि है कौशल इनामदार जी। कौशल जी मराठी इंडस्ट्री में म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर हैं, पर ये बहुत ही छोटी पहचान है उनकी। उन्होंने बहुत खूबसूरत फिल्मों में संगीत दिया है, जैसे बाल गंधर्व, अजिंठा, और मेरे ख्याल से येलो में भी। पर इससे कहीं ज्यादा प्यारी पहचान ये है कि उन्हें फिल्म संगीत, उसकी पेशकश, इस पूरे में उनकी बहुत रुचि है, उनका बहुत अभ्यास भी है कि कैसे पेश किए जाते हैं गाने, कैसे बनते हैं गाने, और आज शायद वो हमारे साथ हारमोनियम पर कुछ पेश भी करें. So a very warm welcome everyone. We're just looking forward to a wonderful evening in the memory of the great man Mr. Raj Khosla. Over to you, Milind ji.
तो मैं पहला सवाल श्रीराम सर से करना चाहूंगा कार्यक्रम का आगाज करते वक्त. सर, राज खोसला साहब ने कई जॉनर्स पे काम किया, अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट्स को उन्होंने अपनी फिल्मों में से उसको एक अंजाम तक पहुंचाया. कई सारे अलग अलग विषय उन्होंने अपनी फिल्मों के सामने द्वारा लोगों के सामने रखे. और एक चीज जो उनके बारे में कही जाती है, जो कि जब भी सॉन्ग पिक्चराइजेशन की बात करी जाए तो 4-5 लोगों का नाम जो सबसे आगे लिया जाता है इंडिया में, जैसे गुरु दत्त साहब हुए, राज कपूर हुए, विजय आनंद हुए, उनमें एक नाम ये भी शुमार है जो है राज खोसला साहब. तो मैं ये कहना आपसे ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि आज देखिए 30 साल हो गए, मगर हम आज भी राज खोसला साहब को ट्रिब्यूट करके उनके काम को याद कर रहे हैं. तो आपको ऐसी कौन सी उनकी फिल्म याद पड़ती है जिससे आपका खुद का एसोसिएशन है?
Hi everybody, I am very happy to be here and I am very happy that a biography is being written. और मैं कोशिश करूंगा हिंदी में भी बात करने की, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, मैं बीच में हिंदी में भी घुस जाऊंगा. लेकिन मेरा एक्चुअली एसोसिएशन शुरू हुआ था राज खोसला साहब के साथ. एक्चुअली मैं शायद जब 10-12 साल का था, क्योंकि मैं पूना में पैदा हुआ हूँ और मैं पूना में मतलब पढ़ा हूँ वगैरह. और वहाँ पे उनके जो फिल्में जो मेरे before I was born, या early, they were all available on big screen in matinee shows. तो मैंने CID and 16वां साल ये सब मैंने सिनेमा हॉल में देखे हैं. और उस टाइम तो हमको पता नहीं होता है कि मतलब फिल्म मेकिंग क्या होता है, किसी को वो मालूम भी नहीं कि मैं आगे जाके ये करने वाला हूँ वगैरह. लेकिन उनके फिल्मों में जैसे कुछ चीजें, कुछ सीन्स है, कुछ या तो परफॉर्मेंसेस है या म्यूजिक है या ओपनिंग्स है या सीक्वेंसेस है, those somehow stay. And gradually as you sort of get older and get deeper, I came to know that Guru Dutt was his mentor, and he's in the company of Devanand and all these guys. I mean, there is a whole they all sort of in one school of thought sort of thing. They are I can imagine them going to Metro and Regal and watching the American gangster films and things like that, and doing it in our own way with our romantic sort of approach, with a bit of the noir and everything. All this is so for me. I mean, I cannot talk academically about Raj Khosla ji. I can just talk with a lot of love. So I've seen. I mean, I've not seen all of his films because there are 2-3 family dramas I had sort of grown out of. So the last couple of films I was kind of I have not seen, but I've seen about 20-22 of those films, of the films he's made, definitely. And I've seen them at least 7 to 8 times each. So you can imagine.
जो एक एक्चुअली ग्रुप बना था मेरे ख्याल से, वो क्या दिन रहे होंगे, गुरुदत्त साहब, देव साहब, राज खोसला जी, विजय आनंद, and together they have created some of that magical period of Hindi cinema. Karan sir, would you like to extend on this with regard to the genres that I was saying? Yesterday only, I'll just add to that. Yesterday only I saw Naqab once again, and actually it connected me to Woh Kaun Thi.
It is actually a reworking of Woh Kaun Thi, but in a slightly different way. Woh Kaun Thi was a reworking, I think, somewhere of Wilkie Collins' I think, Woman in White. Whereas Naqab is actually a more faithful adaptation. The mystery parts are actually closer to Wilkie Collins' I think, book. But unfortunately, I think the great films that Mr. Khosla made in the 50s and 60s, Naqab, I think, came at a time when I think he was looking for success, and he actually, I think, went back to a film that had a basis in as one of his most successful films. But otherwise, jaise aapne kaha, I think what really makes him stand out is the sheer variety. I think maybe perhaps only Vijay Anand and Raj Khosla are 2 filmmakers who could straddle different kinds of filmmaking. I mean, he could do thrillers like CID. He could the mystery trilogy with Sadhana, as we know, Woh Kaun Thi, Mera Saya, and Anita. An intense love story like Do Badan. A domestic melodrama like Do Raste. And dacoit dramas like Mera Gaon, Mera Desh, and also think Kache Dhage. Particularly Mera Gaon, Mera Desh, I think actually Sholay owes a lot to Mera Gaon, Mera Desh. A lot of the plot points and things are actually taken from Mera Gaon Mera Desh. Though Sholay had a wider success in terms of having its, as you know, what we say in Hindi cinema, the masalas were in the right proportion. But if you were to look at the focus of the story as a dacoit drama, I actually think Mera Gaon Mera Desh is the tighter film, and it's actually the more coherent film of the two. Over there, it sticks to its story, whereas Sholay does branch out into its items, which have made it a thing legendary. And the other thing that I think, the other couple of things that really stand out with in Raj Khosla these in filmmaking. The minute you're able to straddle a variety of genres, it means you're a very, very competent filmmakers handling different kind of scenes. Be it drama, be it a thriller, element, it's all there. And then in terms of performances, I think he was particularly strong with actresses. In fact, he was known as the George Cukor of India. Because George Cukor in Hollywood was known for the performances. And when we kind of look at the kind of performances that, even in the later movies, Nutan in Main Tulsi Tere Aangan Ki, or Agar Hum Bombay Ka Babu Le, I think it's actually Suchitra Sen's most uninhibited performance on the Hindi screen. She was not so comfortable with the language, and there's a certain sense of tiltedness, even when she's with Bimal Roy in Devdas or with Rishikesh Mukherjee in Musafir. Mamta helped her out, I think, because she had already done the role once before. Bombay Ka Babu, it's a very different Suchitra Sen. You see, one who's having fun. She was very, I think, serious. But he did that in
role बहुत serious ही रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल में.
कि वो इतना Bombay Ka Babu में, and of course when the story gets serious, she's I think spot on. And there I have to speak about the teaming of Khosla Saab and Jal Mistry. I don't think I've seen better close-ups of an actress on the Indian screen. I mean, Suchitra Sen's close-ups are just ethereal.
Shatrughan Sinha Saab has joined her. Welcome.
Has he joined? Oh,
yes, sir.
4 फिल्मों में तो याद है मुझको, एक दोस्ताना फिल्म जिसका इतने बड़े म्यूजिक लवर थे, और मैं फिल्म मेकिंग और खासकर म्यूजिक के बारे में जो जानकारी राज खोसला जी को रही, शायद मेरा ख्याल है राज कपूर के बाद या चंद लोग और होंगे, उनके बाद सबसे ज्यादा अगर किसी को रही है फिल्म मेकिंग और म्यूजिक दोनों के मामले में, वो राज खोसला जी को। और उनके साथ जो फिल्में की हमने, दोस्ताना की, और मेरा दोस्त मेरा दुश्मन, फिर माटी मांगे खून में एक छोटा सा लेकिन बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट रोल किया था मैंने, वो शरीफ बदमाश। जनरली आप देखते हैं कि डायरेक्टर्स हमेशा बहुत टेंस रहते हैं सेट्स पे, लेकिन मैं सबसे ज्यादा रिलैक्स अगर किसी को देखता था तो राज खोसला जी को। सलामत रहे दोस्ताना हमारा वो गाना जो इतना सुपर हिट है और आज भी सुपर हिट है, वो अमिताभ और हमने मेरा ख्याल है 2 सिटिंग में की थी, 1 दिन और 2 दिन नहीं, भाईदास हॉल में, और बच्चे आए थे वहां पे, और 2 सिटिंग में, और कितना बढ़िया सिंपल टेक्निक। वो जूम बहुत अवॉइड करते थे, जो हमारे FTII के लोगों को भी जूम ज्यादा पसंद नहीं आता है, हमने भी वहीं सीखा था ये। लेकिन टेक्निक के मामले में मैंने राज खोसला जी को देखा, एकदम मिड लॉन्ग शॉट पे ज्यादा जोर होता था, फिर क्लोजअप पे, और खासकर हीरोइंस के मामले में। बाकी तो आप लोग बात करेंगे, मैं सुनूंगा।
सब बहुत ही अच्छा लगा आपकी बात सुनकर। बस जब आप आए तब हम बस थोड़ी सी बात श्रीराम जी और करण जी दोनों ने करी थी कि किस तरह के दिग्दर्शक थे, या उन्हें किस तरह से उनका काम किस तरह से इन्होंने देखा, क्या पसंद आया। तो मैं जरा सा बस थोड़ा सा पीछे जाना चाहती हूँ कि जितनी बार हम राज खोसला जी के बारे में सुनते हैं तो सुनने पढ़ने में आता है कि गायक थे, गायक बनना चाहते थे, और एक बहुत खूबसूरत आवाज, और एक सैगल साहब को सुनते हुए अपनी गायकी को बनाते हुए बड़े हुए थे, और
बहुत अच्छे गायक थे, बहुत अच्छे गायक थे।
और फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में आए भी इसलिए थे कि मैं गाऊंगा। और फिर वहां से लेकर के मैं अनीता जी से खास करके पूछना चाहती हूँ, और अम्बरीश आपने भी कुछ ढूंढा होगा कि कहाँ से ये सफर, एक गायक का सफर एक निर्देशक बनने तक का जो सफर है, वो मेरे ख्याल से 1950 के आसपास ये सारी चीजें हुई होंगी। वो AD भी रहे गुरुदत्त साहब के, तो ये किस तरह से हुआ, अगर उन्हें कुछ पता हो तो हमारे साथ जरूर साझा करें।
My grandfather, that is his father, used to enjoy hearing him sing K.L. Saigal songs because he felt it was very close to K.L. Saigal's voice. So he used to encourage my father to sing all his songs. I think, and he used to enjoy it so much that my father just got into the process of singing wherever he used to go. He used to have the harmonium and he used to be sitting down with his friends and he used to be singing. So the encouragement started right from home.
राज जी का म्यूजिक के हवाले से व्हाट आई कैन से इज मदन मोहन जी ने जब अपनी करियर की शुरुआत की थी विद अ फिल्म कॉल्ड आंखें, वी ऑल नो अबाउट हिज एसोसिएशन विद लता जी, बट आंखें में उन्होंने जिन सिंगर्स को लिया था उसमें जो सबसे आज वेल नोन नाम है वो राज खोसला है। आंखें में देयर वाज अ सॉन्ग कॉल्ड रेल में जिया मोरा सननना, दैट सॉन्ग इट स्टिल एग्जिस्ट। ये गाना राज जी ने गाया था। और इसके बाद दो तीन और गाने गाए थे जो अंदाज फिल्म है महबूब खान की, उसमें एक गाना जो मुकेश जी ने गाया था वो गाना इट एग्जिस्ट इन एलपी रिकॉर्ड राज जी के वॉइस में, बट somehow I don't know what happened, I don't know why it was not included, but वो गाना है, रिकॉर्ड हुई थी। इसके बाद फिल्मों में एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग छोटा सा ट्रिविया ये है कि प्रेम कहानी करके एक फिल्म आई थी राजेश खन्ना और मुमताज जी, वहां पे एक छोटा सा सीक्वेंस है वेयर राज खोसला जी सिंग्स इन द वॉइस ऑफ राजेश खन्ना। बेसिकली राजेश खन्ना इज हमिंग एक शेर है छोटा सा, वो राज जी बोलते हैं एंड इट्स एज इफ इट्स राजेश खन्ना's voice and he sings exactly like KL Sehgal
साहब जी।
It's a beautiful song. It's
So like अनीता जी, आपने जैसे कहा कि केएल सहगल जी की सहगल साहब की आवाज से काफी प्रेरित उसी तरह की गायकी।
एंड सहगल साहब के वो बड़े मुरीद थे। एज अ मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट बहुत सारी फिल्मों में उन्होंने सहगल साहब की आवाज यूज किया है एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्लॉट। दो रास्ते में है, एक बंगला बने रहा, फिर नूरजहान जी का वॉइस भी बहुत सारी फिल्मों में उन्होंने यूज किया। ही वाज अ बिग फैन ऑफ सहगल साहब, व्हिच शोज इन हिज सिंगिंग स्टाइल आल्सो।
तो ये मेरा वही जैसे हमने कई बार सुना है कि ज्यादातर लोग फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में उस दौर के खासकर एक्टर बनने आते थे ज्यादातर लोग, और फिर एक्टर से जैसे मुझे लगता है तलत साहब भी इसी तरह एक्टर बनने आए थे, मुकेश साहब भी एक्टर बनने आए थे और फिर गायक बने। तो वो एक ट्रांजिशन मेरी समझ में आता है। बट आप गायक बनने आए हैं और ऐसा आप में देव साहब, ये प्रचलित है कि देव साहब ने उन्हें लाया, दोनों एक ही पिंड के थे, मुझे कपूर साहब ने कल बताया गुरदासपुर के ही थे, और वहीं से फिर कुछ हुआ और ये किस तरह से गुरुदत्त साहब के असिस्टेंट बने और फिर एक सफर शुरू हुआ। मेरे ख्याल से बाजी आर पार दोनों में मिलिंद जी है ना, दोनों में असिस्ट भी किया है। तो ये बड़ा ही आई फाइंड इट वेरी इंट्रिगिंग अम्बोरिश।
There are fragments of the story available in various places. राजी, इट्स एन आयरनी कि उनके ऊपर और ज्यादा मटेरियल अवेलेबल नहीं है। बहुत सारी कहानियां हमें गुरुदत्त के बायोग्राफी के थ्रू, जो अबरार अलवी साहब की किताब है, और बाकी जो नसीर मुन्नी कबीर का एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री है, उसमें राज साहब का एक छोटा सा बाइट भी है। राजी used to frequent this place called Coffee House. These are all different stories from different sources, so we are still trying to validate a lot of these things. So apparently there was this place called Coffee House where a lot of Punjabi artists used to visit and haunt. So during those times Raji got acquainted with Dev Saab. Dev Saab भी वहीं पे आते थे, और ये लोग वो पिंड का जो definition है, like we were discussing, like पिंड का definition is really expanded, so it can be your neighboring village also. तो क्योंकि दोनों गुरदासपुर जिले से थे, they bonded really well and both were very sophisticated, well-read people. Raji was obsessed with Shakespeare. He used to read Shakespeare all the time. He had the entire collection. Dev Saab was this suave, sophisticated, westernized gentleman. So they got along really nicely, and I think it was Dev Saab who introduced Raji to Guru Dutt, and that I think was the time where I mean everybody knows about the friendship of Guru Dutt and Dev Saab and how they had started kind of collaborating together. उसी समय पे देव साहब ने गुरुदत्त के साथ इंट्रोडक्शन करवाया था राज जी का, एंड दैट इज हाउ राज जी स्टार्टेड असिस्टिंग हिम। ये अगेन दीज थिंग्स आर नॉट वैलिडेटेड येट। हम अभी हमने शुरुआत की है। वी आर ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट अ लॉट ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन, अ लॉट ऑफ स्टोरीज अबाउट हाउ दिस एसोसिएशन बिगैन, बट अभी तक का जितना इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें दिखता है उसमें यह है कि देव साहब ने इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया था और उसी से बाजी, जाल और बाज, ये सारी फिल्मों में he assisted him, and Guru Dutt was almost instantly enamored by Rajji's talent and how he picked up the skill of filmmaking and everything associated with production, that it didn't take him very long. It took him, I mean, all these films were late 40s, early 50s, and it didn't take Guru Dutt very long to pass on the baton of a director to Rajji. So I think both Dev Saab and Guru Dutt Saab were very confident about Rajji's skills as a director, which is why they gave him the opportunity. So I think that's how he kind of got into filmmaking or started making films.
राज साहब ने हमेशा से ही गुरुदत्त साहब को गुरु मानते हुए उनको हमेशा से उनका जिक्र भी आता था हर जगह पे, और वो कहते भी थे कि स्पेशली व्हेन इट केम टू सॉन्ग पिक्चराइजेशन.
Yeah. So
I think it is time to see that small clip.
I'm known for my song picturization, that I picturize songs very well. Actually, it's Guru Dutt and his skill that I learned.
ऐ दिल है मुश्किल जीना यहाँ, जरा हट के जरा बच के, ये है बॉम्बे मेरी जान.
Devanand, he tells me, he says, Raj, what am I doing in this song? I said, the song is doing everything. You just walk. The song goes through in its entirety for about 3 minutes or so, and he keeps walking. So after a few shots, he says, you want me to walk a mile or two or something? What am I doing in this song? I said, you're walking. You're not going to sing. I said, okay, you're the boss. He had the habit of always using his hands, somewhere. I said, you don't move your hands. He said, I can't sing. I can't move my hands. I'm supposed to walk. I said, that's it. You're just supposed to walk and look handsome.
I mean, okay, song picturization is one thing, but what's also interesting is that when Khosla Saab joined Guru Dutt Saab, and with Bazi, Guru Dutt was also courting Geeta Dutt at that point of time. And they used to often go for picnics. This Lalita Lajmi has told me. They used to often go for picnics driving to Khandala, where they would actually take Geeta Dutt's car. She was the big star that time. Guru Dutt was still coming up. So they would go in her car, and because you could not go alone, the chaperones were Lalita Lajmi and Raj Khosla sir. And while they used to drive, the singing on the way in the car, as people sing in picnics, was done by Geeta Dutt and by Khosla sir out there.
Wow.
So he was kind of involved in their romance as well. When they were kind of when Guru and Geeta Dutt were courting each other. Actually, what I was saying about his films, even before coming to songs, is I think one thing is I also rate Khosla Saab very, very high in terms of his film craft. In terms of technique, I think what Vijay Anand and I think Khosla Saab gave to our cinema in the 1960s was a more dynamic sense of shot taking. Sure, we had good shot taking from the filmmakers that mattered in the 50s, but I think a stronger dynamism came in, and the fluidity of the camera movement and the camera tracks, especially I think came in with as they blossomed in the 1960s. And as he mentioned that obviously having worked with a master like Guru Dutt, obviously song picturizations was a legacy he sort of, as he says, inherited from there. But I also think what he inherited, and he also speaks about this, that he inherited from Guru Dutt Saab, was the right use of close-ups. Like what Alfred Hitchcock said in the West, what Guru Dutt also felt was that true acting is in the eyes. And this is something that you see in both the Guru Dutt films and in the Khosla Saab's films, that at the key points in dramatic scenes, you have the right close-up at the right time. So I think there's also, it's not merely that he told stories along various genres or he picturized songs, really well. I think he had a very, very strong sense of film craft in his movies. And this, I think, is very, very apparent when you actually see Woh Kaun Thi, which is actually one of his most famous movie. And then you see the two remakes which were done In Tamil, it was called Yarni, Who Are You? And in Telugu, it was called Ame Evaru, like Who Is She? Now, both these movies actually were literally frame-to-frame copies of Woh Kaun Thi. And in fact, the song tunes were used also. The same songs were used in the Tamil and Telugu versions. And the situations also very similar in Lag Ja Gale. The way Sadhna lies on the sand, Jayalalitha, who did both the Tamil and Telugu version, lies on the sand out there. But if you see the lighting, it's so much flatter in the Tamil version. Whereas the Gage Kapadia, along with Khosla Saab, it is so beautifully lit with low-key lighting. It adds to Sadhna's mystery. It adds to the confusion that Manoj Kumar is going through, and the use of those hanging roots, the way he makes things Sadhna walk so that her face is always within light, it's covered with that, and of course the sense of mystery that Sadhna generated, I think was much more than what actually in the South. Jayalalitha looks more the romantic heroine rather than the mysterious one. And in fact, I also remember reading in an interview where Sadhna ji said that she and Khosla Saab spent so much of time trying to find the right smiles for every situation in Woh Kaun Thi, that how mysterious should she be, how romantic should she be, and etc. And again, talking of songs, it's a very well-known incident that, one song that he filmed in the movie, he actually filmed with Madan Mohan's voice on Sadhna, for Naina Barse Rimjim Rimjim. The song was not recorded with Lata ji, but they had to shoot the song. And even Sadhna mentioned in an interview that the public around was laughing and they said, "Ye kaisi film hai? Ye to hit ho hi nahi sakti. Ek aurat ek aadmi ki awaaz mein ga rahi hai." Then of course Lata ji came and dubbed, and the rest is history. But yeah, as I said, the songs is one thing which really makes him stand out. But I think he's not got enough credit for his film craft over there. It's not really that these were successful films in different languages. It's his film craft. His shot taking ability, the dynamism he brought, especially the dramatic track-ins and track-outs.
Yeah, the track-ins and track-outs.
At times, you can actually feel that his focus pullers have struggled in the shots. They've gone a little out of focus while it's being, it's been tracking in. But he uses it very dynamically to move into his characters and out. And this is something we see in Guru Dutt as well. The track-in and the track-outs are a very integral part. If you look at his song like Jaane Wo Kaise Log The Jinke, you will see that, how it's been used. And then when you look at, Khosla ji songs, you see the track-in and the track-outs.
That was a very interesting discussion. We'll continue on the directorial thing, but I think this is just the time to look at the song.
I think I pretty much, spoke earlier, but it's a beautiful picturization out there.
Yeah, totally.
And especially when you're watching the movie, the mood that it creates, it's absolutely, you're actually as confused as Manoj Kumar is in his shoes as to what to make of Sadhna, because he's seeing her in different avatars, but she's been so beautifully presented. And as I said, it's the low-key lighting also that's kind of helped over there. And also the use of those roots, the palms that, flit across her face. We see Manoj Kumar walking through darkness and light. It's almost his mental state of mind that is being represented, through that picturization over there. We see beautiful use of the crane as she gets up. The camera moves with her. Showing, it's just beautifully conceived. And especially when we see these older movies, I think hats off to these filmmakers, because they did not have a video assist.
Then
To see what they're shooting, they actually imagined it, and they had to wait and see the rushes to see, and they had to go by the words of the DOP, and really had to trust the DOP as to what was the okay take, and think over
totally.
there.
That's another. That's a very difficult thing to do. That's a very difficult thing for students of these times to even think of. Kuch nahi hai aapke paas dekhne ke liye, baad mein
yeah, absolutely. And also, and as I said,
spot on, I think, with your craft.
And also in the Woh Kaun Thi, like I said, he was very good with actresses. And actually, all three of the the Mystery Trilogy, it is Sadhna who's the life of the three movies. Woh Kaun Thi, I think Mera Saya, and of course, Sunil Dutt is great as the dedicated husband, but she's the life of the movies. And he was very, very strong in this right from the beginning. Even in Solba Saal, again, a very unusual story of one night. Where this girl elopes from...
Allow me to interrupt. I just want to say a small... Allow me to interrupt, please. So another aspect here I thought is कि वो दोनों किरदारों के मन में क्या चल रहा है. और वो कौन सी, जैसे आपने कहा कि द लाइटिंग इज शोइंग कि उसके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है, वो ही इज नॉट श्योर वेदर दिस इज ट्रू, वेदर दिस इज अ मिस्ट्री, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, पर वो गानों के थ्रू हमेशा उनके सारे गानों में रहा है कि जो सिचुएशन है वो गाना सिर्फ गाने के लिए नहीं है, वहां पर जो किरदारों के मन में चल रहा है वो गाने की लिरिक्स से ही निकल करके आ रहा है। जैसे यहाँ पे बोल रही है पास आई,
बिल्कुल
तो वो
नहीं,
ऐसा नहीं कि बस अब गाने का सिचुएशन मूड बन गया तो हमने गाना
no,
डाल
in fact to filmmakers,
songs ऐसे भी चल रहा है।
in fact to filmmakers like Guru Dutt, Raj Khosla Saab, Vijay Anand Saab and things, the song was a very very integral part of the plot, and when they created the song situation, they built to to that song. The scenes led to it. There's a dialogue exchange and a build up to this song where where then she comes out with Lag Jalale, and in their movies we'll see there's usually a proper build up to that song, so that song is a very integral part of the thing story. It's not like what had really happened in the 80s in a very big way. For example, Himmat Wala mein Sridevi lies on the bed, imagines, and we cut to Neno mein sapna. But here the filmmakers, be it Khosla Saab, be it Vijayan, they built up to their songs. Their songs became a natural expression then of what the characters were, going through. So they took it very seriously.
Yeah, I'd like to also bring in Amborish here. Amborish, we were making some observations about another such piece where storytelling is happening through the song. I think we should talk about that now.
Yeah. Yes.
Mera Gaon Mera Desh.
There is this song in Mera Gaon Mera Desh where Lakshmi Chhaya is supposed to be an informer who is supposed to tell the cops where Vinod Khanna, who is Jabbar Singh, where is he standing and what is he wearing, because he's in a disguise. तो गाने का lyrics ऐसा है that it talks about love and different stages of love, but actually she is saying कि उसके पगड़ी का रंग क्या है, कुर्ते का रंग क्या है, कहाँ पे पेड़ के नीचे खड़े हैं. So all of this is actually told through song. So what Karanji was saying about pushing the narrative forward, here it was literal. गाने से actually कहानी बताई जा रही है, and an essential part of the song.
Of the नीला कुर्ता. नहीं, यहाँ पे मुझे एक जो चीज अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं कि डायरेक्टर तो इज द इन कमांड और इज वी से कैप्टन ऑफ द शिप एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट, तो वो तो लीड करता ही है, मगर यहाँ पे एक ऐसा डायरेक्टर है जो कि खुद म्यूजिक जानता है, गाता है, इज अ गुड हारमोनियम प्लेयर. एक मुसाफिर एक हसीना में तो वो हारमोनियम बजाता ही है. I think let us request Kaushal to talk about how the association with the music director must have been, and different directors. We just had Madan Mohan's tune, so Kaushal, could you just elaborate on how this must have happened? There is another movie of Madan Mohan immediately followed by in Mera Saya. Kaushal?
First thing, in my Facebook bio, I have written that I am a storyteller in the guise of a musician. I think it's the DNA of these filmmakers that we are carrying. And about Rajji, I feel it's exactly the opposite. He was a musician in a guise of a storyteller. His songs were telling stories that is, that anybody can see. But his shot taking, his filmmaking, the characters, the story that he was telling was actually music. It had the sublime flow of song being composed. And I have observed some very peculiar things about the songs in Rajji's films. It happens if a director knows music, and whatever little films I have done, I have experienced. If the filmmaker knows music, then he imposes a lot. His personality is imposed on the music of that film. And that has happened even in case of Raj Kapur films or Subhash Ghai's. Their personality, you can see the personality of the director in the film. Okay. Now, in Rajji's, the exact opposite has happened, is that you see the rate of success of music in his films and you'll see, yet Madan Mohan is Madan Mohan's best. Lakshmikant Pyarelal is Lakshmikant Pyarelal's best. R.D. Burman is R.D. Burman's best in Raj's movies. He does not himself impose his personality on his music. In fact, he gets the best out of what that music composer is capable of. And that is a fantastic thing. I mean, I was so overjoyed and disappointed at the same time. Overjoyed because you see a film director like that, and disappointed because I was not doing music in his times. You know, that was a big disappointment.
That's such a beautiful thing to say, Kaushalji. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
So it was, you see, for example, CID. You see, it's the brand of music is definitely Open Ear or Ek Musafir Ek Hasina, and there it's like Raj's personality in getting the music done is like water. He just allows the color of that musician to flow on his films, which is such a fantastic quality, because I think it adds to the versatility of his storytelling. If the music of Woh Kaun Thi was done by S.D. Burman, perhaps the picturization would have been different, is what I feel. For example, in Chalri Sajni, the second thing that I observed was that his penchant for creating time in his stories with music. So there would be at least one or two songs in the film which would create time. For example, Lag Ja Gale in Woh Kaun Thi. And as Karanji rightly said, there is that Manoj Kumar comes out of shadows into the light, then from the light goes into the shadows. Sadhana ji's face is covered sometimes with shadows and the branches of the trees or the shadow of the trees. He has used the same technique in many songs to display the inner mental state of the protagonist. For example, in Bambai Ka Babu, also the opening song, where Devanand is confused as to where he has come and what he doesn't know what exactly to expect. You see, Babu Chinnanna, the song, there are a lot of frames where the face of Suchitra Sen is covered. It's not entirely visible, or there are some frames which run through windows, so you have obstruction on the face, and that is, I think he has used it a lot of times. I've seen even in Chirag, in the solo song of Muhammad Rafi, I don't remember the song, but Sunil Dutt's face when he's actually in a very emotionally unstable state. At that time, you see the song is picturized through the windows, not directly. His face is not shown directly.
As you have mentioned Chirag,
yeah,
could we just hear a bit of Chirag?
Yeah. So this is Madan Mohan. तेरी आँखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है, ये उठे सुबह चले, ये झुके शाम ढले, मेरा जीना मेरा मरना इन्हीं पलकों के तले. Now, if you see these two lines only, if you take, it's the best storytelling that he's got done by a music composer. For example, the lyric, तेरी आंखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है? It's a question. Okay. But it's not a question that is supposed to be answered. It's a rhetoric. तेरी आंखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है is not a question which is supposed to be answered. Like, you go to a railway platform and go to the inquiry counter and ask, when is the next train coming? Then you expect an answer. But तेरी आंखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है inherently it has the answer that there is nothing apart from your eyes. Okay,
ऐसा सवाल है जिसमें जवाब पहले से ही है.
जवाब है, इनहेरेंट जवाब है उसमें.
जी.
अभी the intelligence of Madan Mohan and by association Raj ji also is that how he gets the composition. If it's a question and it comes to, this is the sa. Sa is the bass note of a song. Okay, so if I end तेरी आँखों के सिवा दुनिया में रखा क्या है, so sarega, it's not a settled question, right? It's, I'm expecting the answer. If it's on ga, unless I get it to sa, you won't feel settled. So what does Madan Mohan do? Teri aankhon ke siwa duniya mein rakha kya hai sa.
Settle
There is no discussion. Settle. नहीं तो अफेयर ही टूट जाता उनका और आशा पारिक जी का.
ये कैसा सवाल है? अगर ये सवाल
ये कैसा है? ये क्यों सवाल पूछ रहे हैं? ये कुछ था यार. Now the genius comes in the next line. ये उठे सुबह चले. अभी, you know, people say that we don't understand music. It's not so true. You understand music like you understand gravity. You know that things are coming down if you throw them up, right? So sa re ga ma pa da ni. So nobody will say that this is coming down. When I say sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, nobody say I'm coming down. Everybody will say you are going up. Sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. Nobody will say I'm going far. They will say I'm coming close. It's so that much you understand. Now what a music composer is doing is actually he is making use of what you understand to tell that story. So ये उठे सुबह चले, तो उठे ऊपर है कि नीचे है? ये उठे सुबह चले. झुके नीचे है या ऊपर है? ये झुके. बट शाम सुबह के आगे है, शाम ढले. तो ये उठे सुबह चले. अगर सुबह ग पे है तो शाम हैज टू गो अहेड. ये उठे सुबह चले, ये झुके शाम ढले. Now the genius is in this, that मेरा जीना मेरा मरना. So if the lower sa is the base or is the where you settle, is your home, then the ऊपर का sa will be the destination. तो मेरा जीना मेरा मरना. So if that's the entire life. So what does Madan Mohan do is he encompasses the entire octave in these two words. And then मेरा मरना ending on the ऊपर का सा. मेरा जीना मेरा मरना. Like the lower sa is settling the question, the ऊपर का sa is also settling the question, but it's the ultimate destination, no? मेरा जीना मेरा मरना. So it's like stopping at food mall but not going till Pune.
वो काम नहीं करेगा.
मेरा जीना मेरा मरना. Where? कहाँ? इन्हीं पलकों के तले सा.
बहुत खूब.
So coming, and this is the intelligence of every music composer that he has used in his different songs. So even जाने के बाद थी, perhaps we might talk about it later.
Later, yes.
जी बिल्कुल. Thank you so much. It was so beautiful listening to this, and yeah, I think that deserves a ovation
That
from
was,
all of us.
yeah. That was an eye opener.
Truly. I mean, suddenly I think जो भी सुन रहे हैं, हमारे कुछ students भी हैं, film buffs भी हैं, हमारी the whole level of respect that we have for all music composers, I think just immediately goes up, and especially for Madan Mohan ji and Raj ji's understanding of all this. Would he insist that you read a certain kind of books or watch a certain kind of films?
Oh, yes, my
ये सुनना ही पड़ेगा, ये तो करना ही पड़ेगा, ऐसा कुछ?
No. He always gave us that feeling that, you know, books like magazines, like say Illustrated Weekly. He never allowed any filmy magazine. Then he encouraged us to have all these, you know, these good authors, you know, I can't remember all the names. So that was that. And like he himself was a very good reader. In his office, he had William Shakespeare, he had so many other things about books. So it was like that. Huh?
Oh, Henry.
Oh, Henry nahi yaad.
He was very fond of O. Henry.
Oh, Henry.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of his favorite authors also, because though all those novellas or short stories always had a twist.
Gee, it would have a very interesting ending most of the time.
And, so he was very fond of that. And as I mentioned to you about K.L. Sehgal, I think I mentioned that as a young child, he used to watch K.L. Sehgal do his riyaz in their house next door on the terrace. And that's what he told me himself, that because of his devotion to listening to K.L. Sehgal every evening, K.L. Sehgal blessed him and told him that "Ja bachche, tu jab bhi gayega, meri awaaz mein gayega."
When we were looking at the films that he has made, like there's one particular writer that he has stuck to, and which kind of really I felt very amused by the fact that D.R. Kamath साहब के साथ उन्होंने for a long time काम किया. I think वो उनके writer रहे बहुत शुरुआत से लेकर लगभग उनकी आखिरी फिल्मों तक भी. तो अनीता जी से मैं कामत साहब के बारे में ढूंढने की मैंने भी बहुत कोशिश की, फिल्म ने भी, तो ज्यादा कुछ हमें मिला नहीं. तो किस तरह का ये एसोसिएशन था? बिकॉज इट्स वेरी अम्यूजिंग कि इतने लंबे समय तक दोनों ने मिलकर काम किया, बहुत सारी अलग अलग फिल्में दी. तो आपने उनको देखा काम करते हुए, कैसा?
You know, during Main Tulsi, I watched G.R. Kamath, Dr. Rahi and my father sitting in the office. They used to get in at 1:30 and the lunch used to be sent into their room and going on and on. At 4 o'clock, you'd have dropped in for some tea and just looking at them, and they're still working at it, they're still working at the story. फिर 6 बज गए, फिर ड्राइवर आया लेने के लिए, again they're still working. 8 o'clock they used to leave the office. 1:30 to 8 o'clock. Nobody would protest. Nobody. Everybody was so involved and so into making the scenes. You know, they worked very, very hard for Main Tulsi. You know, very hard. Dr. Rahi, D.R. Kamath, and my father, all three of them. And when I see the scenes and I see the way, Dev Mukherjee acted, it was quite a revelation, because, he somehow brought out the best in the most ordinary actors. So I found that amazing. He used to take on new people and he used to just do his magic on them. And the groundwork was so thorough. It was absolutely thorough.
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
Yeah, that's a very beautiful thing. It's a very nice point you're making here. Like, we've seen how Vinod Khanna ji has been kind of mounted or picturized with other directors versus Vinod Khanna ji with Raj Khosla sahab. There's a very interesting thing to observe, but it's very different. So, Amborish, would you like to talk about that?
The way he showed Vinod Khanna and the kind of roles he gave him was very interesting. As a matter of fact, I was discussing Prem Kahani with Mumtaz ji. I was interviewing Mumtaz ji for the film. I was talking about her performance, which was very different and refreshing from a certain perspective, because usse pehle jo Do Raaste thi, which was a conventional heroine. But Prem Kahani, if you have seen, is a very different kind of a character, where, I mean, how a woman character carries herself and actually goes out and proposes to the guy. And when he says no, she says good riddance. So it was a very interesting kind of a role. So I was talking about her performance, and she was talking about Vinod Khanna's performance in the film. The interesting thing is, in Prem Kahani, Vinod Khanna had a cameo. He played this truck driver, good Samaritan called Sher Khan.
Right.
And he had a very interesting way of approaching a Pathan role. See, Vinod Khanna, when you look at Vinod Khanna's performances, he's not a very over-the-top animated kind of a performer. His performances are, even the louder dialogues, he looks slightly muted, and it's a kind of underperformance in a manner of speaking. So she was actually going gaga about Vinod Khanna ji's performance, and she was saying how the audience reacted to Vinod Khanna's performance in the film. So there's of course Main Tulsi Tere Aangan Ki, there's Mera Gaon Mera Desh, the exceptional villain there, Daku Jabbar Singh, in his own way, and a very underrated film called Kache Dhage.
Kache Dhage, of course.
Where I think Vinod Khanna was fantastic in that film. I mean, he had a very, very grey character, and grey is the right word, because he was neither the hero in the traditional sense, nor was he a conventional villain. It was a beautiful role. I don't know why people don't talk about it so much, or why didn't it do better than it did. But it's a great role. So I think Vinod Khanna and him had a certain kind of a chemistry, and he knew the strengths of all of these actresses, like Anita ji was saying about Dev Mukherjee and all of these people. Geeta Bell was present in many of his films. So all of these actors and actresses, he actually knew how to pull out the best from them.
The best out of them. Yeah, I guess that's the best thing about a director, to know those people and get it. So I'd like to bring Sriram in for a minute. Sriram, it's so we stick to a type of film, or sometimes we stick to a kind of subject. Here is a man who kind of doing almost all genre, different kinds of stories, different star casts, so many big names. And how does one get his head around all of that? Like, what do you make of all of this?
No, I think that's one of the sort of unique things about him. Like and Karan said, Vijay Anand, I mean, they just and they've got substantial movies in each of these genres. It's not just one by chance or something like that,
Correct, yes.
If you take the noir, the early films, I mean, CID and Solva Sal and the Bombay Ka Babu. I mean, these are films which are, see, some of them don't do well. Probably, like Bombay Ka Babu apparently didn't do well because of the ending. But that is one of the greatest endings, of a movie. It's like, it reminds me of Third Man and stuff like that, in the sense.
Totally.
And he is a filmmaker who, like, okay, after that, the suspense movies. I mean, there I can tell you, like, because I was a kid, my mom used to see these movies before me. I mean, and I would never see them. I used to be told the story. Because, okay, we can't see the movie, and so you tell her this story. And she will, while she's doing some work, she will be telling it in fair amount of detail. So, all spoilers, okay. So, after a year or so, whenever I get a chance to play hooky or whatever, and I go to watch the movie, even though I know this is the story, this is the plot, it doesn't matter because it's still, that's why I feel the mise-en-scene. Now, I am not able to sort of analyze it in the sense because I have not studied it recently, the films, But as I remember, each one, like Kache Dhage, for example, since Amborish was talking about it, that is one film just by chance. Because Milind told me, I said, okay, I have sort of, let me watch it. And I watched it one evening, like you watch a movie. And I'm telling you, it holds till today. It holds till today. And that ending and everything is like, you actually feel very sad at the movie, And it's again a highly risky movie. Right from the beginning, these characters are bleak and they are like, they have no chance. But it still completely sort of holds your attention. No, there's nothing else. Vinod Khanna is playing Grey is a very, very grey character. And in Mera Gaon Mera Desh, in Sholay they don't do it. In Mera Gaon Mera Desh, he shoots a kid in front of the mom, And you wonder as a viewer, I don't know, even then when I was watching it, like, obviously they won't show this, sort of in your head it's almost there, but it's shown. And you're like, and it's like, these things that he does now, I think are what things like we learn from filmmakers like that, And one of my most favorite movies of his is not great in the critical list, maybe Sharif Badmash. I don't know why, I just love that movie. And I've seen it maybe because I'm a big fan of Devanand and the music and the everything. And it's like, I remember even the poster when the movie came out in the newspaper was, this jail and this one man standing there. Was he a gangster in the garb of a good man? Or was he a good man in the garb of a gangster?
The garb of a gangster, yeah.
So as a kid, you're like, oh my God, I have to watch this movie. And funnily, because you watched it at a certain age and loved it, that love, whenever, even if I watch it now, I'll enjoy it. It will be, it's a highly crazy movie and kind of thing. It's got Shatrughan sir. I love that Rocky. He plays Rocky in that movie.
In that film, yes.
Okay. So I can just go on and on, but please, I'm enjoying listening to so many stories and so many things I didn't know about Raj Khosla.
So another small thing that comes from what you just said, I mean, the characters all through his films, even in the noir or in the suspense films or in the family films, the characters that he has chosen to kind of tell his story, a lot of them are grey, which is also I found them that a very interesting thing, and I would like to bring in Karan ji here. That from those black and white films, even to the later films, a lot of stories which he has chosen is people who are grey, people
which
who
is actually true, because even like I was talking earlier of the Solva Sal, which is a one night story, but you think central character in it is actually a woman who is eloping with a guy.
Correct.
Over there. And the love story happens.
I think, yeah.
And the love story happens when the guy ditches her, and now your hero, he basically tries to get her home before her family, her dad realizes what she's done in the night.
What she's done, correct.
Again, it's a very, very interesting plot. And I have to actually confess that though I didn't do it, it was a script I did try reworking at one point of time in more contemporary thing. Solva Sal thing, because again it was very, very interesting. Obviously with the double role thing syndrome, and also though in Anita it's not really a double role, but where she's shown to have multiple personalities. He's able to use that many shades then for the characters. In fact, in Woh Kaun Thi and Mera in the Woh Kaun Thi more than anything else, the two sadhanas are very the good sister and the bad sister, which is also a trope right from movies like Anhoni, when heroines had double roles. You had the good sister and the bad sister. Even in Sharmili, for example, you had it. It is very distinct. Mera Saya is interesting because actually I wouldn't say the second sister is totally negative. It's more the mystery happens because she dies due to that accidental switch that happens.
Yes.
That happens over there. And again in Anita, to create the mystery, there's a lot of grey to Sadhana's roles, at least in the way people describe her, until the truth comes out.
Correct.
And we are said, so yes, he did work with a lot of interesting characters which had the shades. But as I said, he was even with he had something special for women, because even when he did Solva Sal, now it was Devanand at its peak. You have a young Wahida Rahman who just got CID and Pyasa behind her. But the central character from beginning to end of Solva Sal is Wahida Rahman. The story is hers. Devanand is the helper in that sense. And, he helps her get home. Of course, he's a hero in that sense. But the central character and the life of that movie is Wahida Rahman.
Yes.
Over
so
there.
In
Nakab also we have a double role of Farah.
Yeah, but again, that's Woh Kaun Thi. I mean, it's an adaptation, and even with the Woh Kaun Thi, it's just an interesting fact which I think most people will know. But just because we've spoken about his, relationship with being Guru Dutt Saab's, assistant, Guru Dutt Saab was actually making a film called Raz.
G.
Supposed to be Pancham's debut as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, two songs were recorded, including a song on 3 Notch Girls, which is actually sung by Asha Bhosle, Shamshad Begum and Geeta Dutt. So 3 great singers in that one song. And it was initially Sunil Dutt, and then Guru Dutt, and Wahida ji was playing the double role. And when Raz got shelved, then somewhere, from Mentor to the script shifted, but it was reworked by Khosla Saab his own way. It was not Raz, from what one's heard from people and read. He then sat and reworked it his own way before he came out with Woh Kaun Thi over there. And again, the way he's used, I think Sadhana is beautiful in that movie. And
exactly. So my mind is going in 2 places, and I'm choosing to go back to a certain scene, and then we'll come back to Sadhana.
Sure.
She is just too boggled here. So, Milind ji, can we play that scene while we are talking about grey characters? कच्चे धागे में एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत सीन है जिसका ध्यान अम्बरीश ने हमारा ध्यान उस पर खींचा कि let's watch that scene. It's a slightly different scene. So shall we play that, Milind ji?
Yeah, we can.
This is the time to play that. Yeah, okay, great, thank you. बहुत ही प्यारा scene है. I think most of us know the film, and let's watch the scene.
प्यारा तो नहीं है. It's not a प्यारा scene.
No, for me.
नहीं, see, मुझे.
You're right.
I was just listening. I've tried. I mean, I've been in the backseat. I'm so happy to listening. See, the thing is that we have been talking about the different genres, but there are these values which have been there. Like there is this sibling play. They are not brother sister, but it's there in Bombay Ka Babu. Similar thing happens in Kache Dhage. So there is no hero heroine as such. Like the lead and the though they are leading characters, they are not hero and heroine in the traditional format. Did Kabir Bedi, Vinod Khanna, but Maushmi Chatterjee come after 1 hour 4 minutes.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she's
True,
the
true.
female lead.
So in that Bombay Ka Babu song, it's almost incestuous, that whole representation, almost, or rather borderline, let's say. So but that's also very interesting. It's
Apart from Vinod Khanna, I think the very subtle expressions that flit across Nirupa Roy's face towards that, those silences speak so much. Like, again, so beautifully kind of handled and so beautifully done out there. Just very subtle emotions flitting across her face.
I think
in
Mother India, Vastav, so many films, the mother, the quintessential ideal mother, has always been questioning the son who has become a monster. But this is probably the only film where Raji actually made the son shot back and respond. Although the circumstances are very different, but you know what I mean.
It takes quite a lot of courage to have a scene like that and play out that. कोई subtlety नहीं रखी वो बात में कि आपने मुझे डाकू बनाया और उस डाकू को मैंने पशु बनाया. तो बिल्कुल साफ कि what were you expecting और क्या होने वाला था, आपने मुझे बंदूक दिया हाथ में. But इसे करने के लिए भी courage चाहिए to keep it like that and
yeah, amazing. So मेरा गाँव मेरा देश के बाद one would assume that he was repeating a Daku film again because the earlier film had worked. But if you look at it, Kache Dhage was a very risky film, to execute. Both the characters and the way the characters navigate through. Maushami ji ka character is a heroine but not a heroine. Vinod Khanna and Kabir Bedi are heroes but not heroes.
And
there's Ritesh Kumar in the middle of it all. There's Hemant Kumar's son who is just there for the songs and everything. So it's a phenomenal, and like how Sriram ji was saying, the ending of the film. So it is very extremely unconventional. I'm surprised he made it when he did, because it was a very unconventional choice.
Milind ji, let's go back a little bit. ना हम साधना जी की बात करना चाहते हैं कि साधना जी के साथ उन्होंने बहुत सारी फिल्में करी. I think almost 4 films.
And there was a 5th incomplete one also, which was almost ready by 90. I think percent called Sarjan Ki Galiyan with Devanand and which he was making in color actually, and again some beautiful close-ups of Sadhana. That one has actually seen the couple of scenes that which are part of this film called Film Hi Film, where we saw scenes from incomplete movies, and there's a beautiful romantic scene between Devanand and Sadhana, which is there from Sarjan Ki Galiyan, and I've seen one song, actually parts of 2 songs from the movie. But otherwise, I think among the work that Sadhana has done, if you have to count her finest work, it's actually divided between the 2 films that she did with Bimal Roy, that is, Prem Patra and Tikparak, and I think somewhere her work for, Raj Khosla. The mystery trilogy is unthinkable without her. It's like she's literally made each of those roles her own.
Correct.
And you actually feel no one could play the mysterious woman better than her. And since those roles had various shades, I think they also brought out her skill as an actress. Unfortunately, again, like I said, I think Khosla Saab has not been given his due, even by film historians. I'm not talking of new generations today, but even film historians, when they talk of the golden age of Indian cinema, I think his Sadhana has not got her due as an actress. It was always the Sadhana cut and the tight kurta and chodidar and mojaris that took everyone's attention away. And over there, and I think 3 of her finest performances are Woh Kaun Thi, Mera Saya, and Anita. I mean, with Sarjan Ki Galiyan, one can only wistfully, looking at those scenes, imagine what might have been, and especially when apparently those movies are almost complete. Apparently, it was 80-90% complete. So all the bigger, I think, tragedy. But again, not just Sadhana, I think Asha Parekh was in fact first noticed as an actress with Do Badan.
Just a minute, Karan ji. So I want to bring in Anita ji a little bit here, because Anita ji, how was this particular relationship, this friendship? I think it extended beyond just being a director and an actor. It was more than that. What would you say?
Yes, absolutely. Sadhana was a very cultured person, and I had gone for dinner with my dad to Landmark, where she and her husband had hosted us. And she was speaking so beautifully, and the whole atmosphere was so nice. And earlier also, she had recommended her niece's college for me and my sister. So my sister did go to that college, St. Beats in Simla, and somehow she's always been there. Also, yeah, another thing is, for Sunny, she gave her bungalow for shooting.
So with the films, the number of films that he did, and also with the lot of different actors that he worked with, also the productions. मतलब वो खुद भी प्रोड्यूसर भी थे, मगर और प्रोड्यूसर्स के लिए भी काम किया, और बहुत छोटे समय में बहुत बहुत ज्यादा, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत लंबा काम किया. So I think he was also considered as a bankable director, with who would come up with kind of stories like Dharma we see today. But the first film was launched by Raj Khosla sir.
बिल्कुल.
Dostana is Dharma Productions' first films, and there are many others. Like if we see Sunny, or maybe he also helped Sunil Dutt sir on Rocky.
On Rocky,
So
yeah.
must be a lot of, industry favorite kind of a person could have been.
Yeah, goodwill. A lot of goodwill he would generate.
Yeah, goodwill. Yeah, person with a goodwill.
Yeah, basically. And he was, he somehow, he used to approach all these people whom he was working with as friends. They're like, many people said there was never any tension on the sets. And, he just enjoyed his work, and it was all, like fun and games. And, there was no time period, or there was absolutely no time bound, okay, abhi khatam karna hai, aise karna, nothing of the sort, It was a very relaxed kind of a atmosphere.
This goes on. I mean, there's a whole
Yeah.
extended scene towards the end also where a necklace is stolen and the cops come in and all of that. He was remarkably confident in front of the camera, might I add.
And this thing I observed in the interview also, the way he was enacting. Must
Yes,
be,
yes.
उनमें वो होगा शायद, वो easiness है.
He looks very at ease, no? वहाँ पे एकदम आराम से बैठे हैं, बात हो रही. Yeah. Okay. I think it's time for us to bring in बिंदिया चमकेगी. उसके बिना नहीं होगा. हमारी भी थोड़ी किस्मत चमकेगी. So let's first have a little chat about the song. But just before we just go there, I think दो रास्ते भी एक थोड़ी अलग सी फिल्म है as compared to all his others. So this is the other genre which he has done: noir, suspense thrillers, dacoity films, and then social films. And then within that, I think Do Raste did really well. And we'll watch a song. But we'll first listen to how to watch that song and really uska kaise ras grahan ho. तो Karan ji से सुनते हैं.
Okay, again, Kaushal ji would be able to go much more into the intricacies of the music of that song, which is not obviously my area of thing. To me, what thing stands out is the picturization, which again, as we know, was Khosla Saab's strength. What amazes me is the way he's used the different elements on the roof of that house. The way he's used the shots, with the pipe, he's framed them with darkness and just that thing, circle. The way he's actually used even the framing, the pipe on top and the ladder on top, he makes Ki Mumtaz's face come over there. The pot lying on the roof, the mirror that is lying there to be able to see Mumtaz, through that mirror on the roof. And of course, the emotions are playing through between Rajesh Khanna and her as she's trying to flirt with him and he's supposedly trying to study. And like every good Hindi film hero, they all studied psychology in college in those days. And he has this book, BA, psychology guide thing over there. But I think it's beautifully picturized in terms of the way the music has been used, the way the playfulness between the two of them in that romance. I mean, Mumtaz is just incredible in that song. And it's actually, apart from just, being the playful heroine, she's actually very sensual in that song. In the Do Raste, which is actually brought out again, I think, beautifully. And then again, the trademark thing, track-ins, track out, framing her, behind the net, like I think Kaushal ji mentioned earlier, how we would frame characters with, through windows or through obstructions. We think we see her through the net. Again, a beautifully choreographed shot where from a longer shot, she comes closer to the camera as the camera tracks, to her. Or even the use of some, very simple devices which make for very dynamic shots. Like when she goes and sits on the bed and she, plays with the pallu. There's a beautiful composition of her through the orange, pallu in the thing, and we see Rajesh Khanna, behind. He had a very, very strong visual sense how to use elements. around. And I think Bindya Chamkegi is a very, very good example of that. And again, nothing framing. I think simple device where she holds her hands. He comes in between and the camera, I think, tracks him for that to give the boundary of the frame over there. So I think it's actually one of the most, and again, you see his fluidity of his camera work in this. It's all very, very beautifully done. I mean, to me, I think he's picturized so many songs great. There is, I think, something special about, I think, Bindya Chamkegi, really. If you can ask before we see it, if Kaushal ji has anything more to add on the music. So we've got something further to go into when we see the song.
One thing, and then we may talk after seeing the song. So you notice currently talked about the playfulness and the sensuality. In music, the way they have done it is using short phrases as dialogues, as question answers. So it's like Paheli Bujhana, and you know that format, that there are short conversations. It's like a rapid fire round between them. You know, there is no long sequence of musical phrases. It's always on the edge. So if you use short phrases and pauses, then there is a lot of scope for action and reaction.
So just before this song, if we have forgotten, I'm sure we haven't, उन्होंने jeans पहनी होती है, western clothes पहनकर मुमताज उनसे मिलने आती है, कहते ओ भारतीय औरत तो साड़ी में सुंदर लगती है, and then
she comes.
Yeah, playfulness is great between them, and the song also works, rather than being monotonous, because it has its ups and downs. From him actually trying not to look at her, him responding to her, trying to shake himself. So they have their own ups and downs in their, in their graph, in their romance, which also kind of keeps it going. And one great shot which I didn't really speak about was the use of the shadow when she talks about. So he's actually kept it framed for all this over there. And in the song, you also have a very standard, what I call the signature Raj Khosla shot. In many songs, you would have a mid-close shot of the character walking from right to left, and the camera will pan with that person. So when she talks about her long ka lashkara, that's a standard Raj Khosla shot. Even in Lag Ja Gale, there's a similar shot where Sadhna moves right to left. This we see the beginning of the Amitabh Bachchan Zinataman romantic song in Dostana. They're walking right to left, then she's walking right to left, and the camera is panning with them in mid-close. So in the songs, one always looks for that signature I think Raj Khosla shot always, among other things, of course, in the song. But yeah, I think it's one of the all-time great picturized songs that I have seen.
Yes, Amborish.
Yeah, I would like to just add here that I've had it from the assistants that Raji didn't really like to work with choreographers. उस ज़माने में choreographers उतना होते भी नहीं थे. They used to be mostly dance masters. So while there was a certain dance master called Mr. Naidu, I think it was Manohar Naidu, I'm not sure the full name, but while he was credited and he was used to come and show a few steps, latke jhatke here and there, but not choreography in the sense that we understand today. So it was mostly Raji and the heroine. So just with that information, if you look at this song now, I mean it shows a different side to him. I mean, that choreography in that song, I mean, that the dances, the steps in that song, from a commercial perspective, I mean, that's what Madhuri and all those others later on imbibed what Mumtaz ji did there in that song. So there were no choreographers to speak of. It was mostly Raji's vision and the heroine.
I just like to add one trivia I had heard, that apparently when the film was finished and when Do Raaste ends, so Manoj Kumar was called to see the film, and he loved the song so much. He said, "Your movie is very good. It ends very beautifully, but put this song again in the end." So apparently, the movie, in the reel itself, the movie ends is like what we have today, the sort of the end title song. And it just comes as the end, but they had the song exactly, and I think the public was very happy.
Sir, these people, I mean, must have given a lot of thought to it. Like, song has always been a very important and commercial property. Songs have made the films hit. There are so many films where the songs are a hit, though the film has not worked well. Yeah, there were dance directors, they were dance masters, but the choreography term came much later. Maybe with Dilse, people started knowing what a choreographer actually does.
See, with the great directors, I think they had their stamp that no matter who was their choreographer, when we look at a Raj Khosla song, it's a Raj Khosla song. When we look at a Vijay Anand song, it could be a Hoto Pe Aisi Baat kind of a dance. It could be Oh Hasina Zulfawali. It's a Vijay Anand song. So I think the directors like Raj Kapur, Guru Dutt, the songs also had their stamp. It's very clearly their songs.
I mean, beautifully sort of picturized is Kuch Kehta Hai Ye Sawan, from Mera Gaon Mera Desh. I mean, I can just watch it once in 15 days just for the way it moves, just the everything.
And like how Sriram said, after the credits, Do Raste, he did a similar thing. Unko shayad, I mean, what he used to experiment with these things, right? So Anita, I've never seen it happen in any Hindi film at any point of time. Anita has a whole song before the credits even roll. The opening credits, you see Anita, the name of the film. Normally, you used to see in the 70s and 80s film, if it's an action film, there was a bit of a prelude that happens, and then there's the title and everything. But in a romantic film like that, even before the name Anita comes on screen, there's a full song, and after that, the film starts happening. So that was a very unconventional thing to do those days.
We should bring in Kaushal to talk about Bindya. He was saying something.
Just two things that struck me now. Like I said, Rajji never imposed his personality, but let the best of that music composer come out. Now, Lakshmikant Pyarelal have been known for their irreverence for grammar of the words. Sometimes, when we speak, you don't put a full stop where the full stop is. So if I am saying, get the milk, don't be impudent. So I'll say, get the milk. Don't be impudent is not what I'll say. I'll say, get the milk, don't be impudent. I won't put that full stop there while speaking. So you can see the play of the words here in Bindya Chamkegi, especially in the Antara. Bole Kangna. So as I said, short phrases, after the pause is very pregnant after every musical phrase. So, and then just see this. Bole Kangna kisi kao sajna jawani pe zor nahi. Bole Kangna. No full stop here. Bole Kangna kisi kao sajna jawani pe जोर नहीं. लाख मना कर ले दुनिया कहते हैं मेरे घुंघरू पायल बाजेगी. There is no full stop here, and this is quintessential Lakshmikant Pyarelal. You will see it in many songs. Okay, so they show no reverence to the grammar of that the line that has been shown. They will always give it a musical grammar, not they'll disregard the grammar of language totally. And here you see another thing that I noticed apart from in picturization was the shot of the pallu in the last antara. It divides the screen diagonally, and you see Rajesh Khanna here, and again the obstructed face of Mumtaz. That kuch baat hai lekin main puri kahunga nahi. That always that unsaid, that between the lines was always told and conveyed even visually. It just didn't happen in the words.
It's a very nice way to put it. Yeah.
And she actually pulls it out when she rebels and says ki main na betungi.
The
thing. Right? Again, I think that the key words in that when she sings is ki maine mohabbat ki hai, gulami nahi. That was, I thought, was
very important.
Again.
Very important because like I said, just before that he has said कि तुम ये लिबास मत पहनो, ये अच्छा नहीं लगता. ठीक है, मैं पहन के आ गई हूँ जो आपको अच्छा लग रहा है. But it's not all done. Like I'm not going to listen to everything that you're saying. I have myself.
And she has her own identity.
I have my own. I'm my own person. So just a little bit about. I think in all his the women characters that he has, there's this streak of I'm somebody. Like you can't just make me this okay, this is the other female lead who's going to sing and dance, and ठीक है वो भी मैं करूंगी, but I also have something to offer. ये उनकी सारी women characters के अंदर देखने को मिलता है कि कुछ ना कुछ, even if it's the negative characters, जैसे काला पानी में आप देखते हैं नलिनी जयवंत का जो कैरेक्टर है, CID में जो वहीदा जी का कैरेक्टर है, तो उनके अंदर भी it's these women are very beautifully portrayed in his story. पिक्चराइजेशन एक बात है, लेकिन आपने कहानी में ही उनको कुछ दिया है. यू गिवन सम एसेंस टू ईच वन ऑफ देम. कुछ कहानी है उनकी पीछे, ऐसे नहीं कि बस एक ठीक है मुझे आई नीड दिस वुमन हियर तो मैंने उनको डाल दिया. तो ये शुरुआती खासकर उनकी फिल्मों में बहुत ही खूबसूरत किरदार औरतों के हैं, बहुत सुंदर तरह से पिक्चराइज भी किए. आई थिंक आई शुड जस्ट थैंक हिम कि हमें देखने को मिली है ऑल दीज ब्यूटीफुल एक्ट्रेसेस portraying these wonderful characters.
कि यहाँ आर.डी. बर्मन साहब की बर्थ एनिवर्सरी भी है और राज खोसला साहब को हम ट्रिब्यूट कर रहे हैं
जी. दोनों
का एक साथ किया हुआ वन ऑफ हिज लेटर फिल्म्स सनी, जो कि आर.डी. बर्मन लता मंगेशकर कॉम्बिनेशन है.
also again a unique thing.
बहुत शुक्रिया, बड़ी मेहरबानी मेरी जिंदगी में हुजूर आप आए. Yeah, that's I know that you know, like I said, in different songs he has created time. You know, when everything is the pace of the story is going, it's extremely difficult to create that you know, that nothing is happening kind of thing and yet not bore people. It's extremely difficult. It's very rare because it, you know, like that in many stories, once you start with the storytelling, then that inertia is so much, and that song should remain part of that story. That so, for example, two songs in Bombay Ka Babu, Saathi Na Koi Manzil. Okay, look at the pace. He actually creates that time and that fursat. दिल ढूंढता है फिर वही फुर्सत, वो मिल गई थी राज जी को actually. So Galib kept looking for it, but he got it. You know. Then even चलरी सजनी क्लाइमैक्स में सॉन्ग है लेकिन इतना फुर्सत में गाया हुआ है, and they give that time. Okay, just because I am on Bombay Ka Babu, just one observation that I did regarding the picturization. In Deewana Mastana, you'll find a shot of Devanand Saab like this. It's a very similar shot to Pehla Nasha in Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. The same background of the hills, same Amir Khan in a sweater and, you know, long. Both songs written by Majrooh Sultanpuri. Coincidence. Like Mark Twain said that only Adam, when he said a good thing, knew that nobody had said it before him. So people are telling the same story all over again and in the similar idioms. The same thing is about Jaane Kya Baat Hai. You know, it's my go-to song if the world is in a chaos and I have to be at peace with myself. So you see that again, that long phrase is there, unlike that Bindya Chamkegi, where that fursat has been created. So this जाने क्या बात है, जाने क्या बात है, नींद नहीं आती, बड़ी लंबी रात है, जाने क्या बात है, जाने क्या बात है, सारी 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 रात मुझे किसने जगाया, जैसे कोई सपना, जैसे कोई साया, कोई नहीं लगता है, कोई मेरे साथ है, जाने क्या बात है, जाने क्या बात है. This extreme peace, and then you sing that song. It was a thing of a past by the time we came to the 80s. They needed that, that because of television already in, there was a compulsion of the increased pace in a song. And yet I think, and with R.D. Burman, it was such a fantastic thing that he did. Actually the whole story of Sunny goes in a pace which is not really in sync with those times. I like that film for different reasons, and that fursat that you don't get anywhere, he created it for us at that time. So there is some different value in things that you feel that why is that song good? It's a regular nazm, but it creates that time and does not it does not let you shift attention from it for a single moment. That is the virtue of that song. Just that's all I have to say. But just one passing observation again. Mr. Kapur said about O. Henry, that he had a lot of O. Henry books with him. Okay, that character of the film inspector, the character of the inspector in Bombay Ka Babu is straight out of an O. Henry book. O. Henry story. After 20 years, or there is another story of the safe, where the policeman goes to catch him, but he sees the crook open the safe and rescue a child, and then he refuses to arrest him. That is O. Henry, and that's the adaptations, when they are infused with original thought, add to the quality of that storytelling, is always what I feel. It's been wonderful.
I just had a small bit to add about जाने क्या बात है. You would be pleased to know, आप बोल रहे थे ना कि the song seems like it harks back to a previous era. This song is actually the tune was made earlier in a Bengali song, so everybody who knows Pancham knows that he used to come out with these songs earlier during Durga Puja in Calcutta. So the interesting thing is, this song was sung by Asha Bhosle, composed by Pancham, in the Bengali album called Chokhe Name Brishti. And then eventually for Sunny, he made Lataji sing it. I don't think there is a parallel like that before.
It's very rare.
The good part about this song is it actually lets the raat to go long, as it is said.
Yes.
बड़ी लंबी रात है तो वो लंबी लगती, लंबी रात वो गाने में रिप्रेजेंट होती है.
Sunny actually travels from wherever he is to Doordarshan offices to meet Amrita Singh, so it's pretty long.
It's actually long. Thank you so much, Kaushalji. Thank you so much, everyone. But I think we just have some small concluding things to say. Milind had some very wonderful observations. जैसे कि the fact that he's a very bankable man, go-to man in his own times with a lot of goodwill. ऐसी बहुत सारी अच्छी बातें हमें पता चली उनके बारे में. Other than just Raj Khosla ji, the filmmaker, Raj Khosla ji, the father, the man who had a wonderful loyal team. जो अम्बरीश के रिसर्च से हमें भी कुछ पता चला कि people who celebrate his birthdays even today. ये बहुत ही मिलिंद और मेरे लिए बहुत ही खूबसूरत जर्नी रहा उनकी फिल्में देखना, बात करना सभी लोगों से. So I think all we can say is show a lot of gratitude to the man and his work. Right, Milind ji?
ये फिल्म एक्चुअली सारी फिल्में देखी, मगर एक चीज जो पता चली बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, जो क्योंकि हम सॉन्ग्स और सॉन्ग पिक्चराइजेशन को लेके बात करते हैं, मैं तो रिसर्च ही कर रहा हूँ गोल्डी साहब पे। तो मेरे ख्याल से राज खोसला साहब को ये पता चल गया था कि गाना इंडियन हाउस होल्ड का पार्ट बन चुका है, एंड ही बॉट इट, ही got that aspect in एक बंगला बने न्यारा with taking the right, I mean having the rights of that song of K.L. Sehgal, and that song is played twice. One when there's a good time, when he's saying the Bala Chani is actually in good spaces, good time, good Hindi life that he is living, और बाद में वही गाना जब बजता है जब वो सारा scattered हो चुका है, तो एक घर का पार्ट हो गया है हिंदी फिल्म का गाना। ये जो चीज तब तक हो चुकी थी वो खोसला साहब ने फिल्म के थ्रू ही एक बार अंडरलाइन करके लोगों के सामने रखी। तो एक तरह का ट्रिब्यूट भी था सहगल साहब के लिए, और दूसरा ये पार्ट जो है कि इंडियन हाउस होल्ड का पार्ट एक बन चुका है हिंदी फिल्म का गाना। तो ये चीज, काफी ऐसी चीजें पता चली जो आप सब लोगों ने, जो ज्ञानवर्धन अगर मैं कहूँ तो वो सही वर्ड होगा, क्योंकि इसी से सब लोगों को पता चलती है चीजें। I would like to thank all the members. Sir is here. Sir, would you like to?
Yeah, I just want to mention one thing. I mean, you would have seen that he made a lot of movies with horses.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a real fondness for horses. And he was a good rider himself, which translated into all his horse movies.
Knowledge also of horses.
Yeah, he was very fond of horses.
I had a horse. So then
yeah, they also they owned a horse which he used to ride, and his daughters used to ride.
How lovely! That's a, I mean, very good observation. Even Naqab has horses. Yeah, yes. मैं तुलसी तेरे आंगन की में वो गिरते हैं घोड़े से, गोल्डी साहब है। Yes, thank you कपूर साहब, ये बहुत important aspect आपने जाते जाते आप ले आए। Sir, Kanthula sir, would you like to say something?
FTI has done a wonderful job in bringing Raj Khosla to the audience today. As some of the panelists have said that perhaps he never got his due when he was there, and in spite of having made such super duper films, songs that are even remembered today, and with this eminent panel that we had, Sriram, Raghavan ji and Amborish and Kaushal, Inamdar, of course, he took this discussion to a very musical level, and brought out the finer nuances of the songs that were essential part of his films. So this has been a wonderful discussion, and I'm sure that when this recording is made available on our website, thousands more would have, they will get access to it, and they will remember Raj Khosla and the brilliant work that he did. So thank you also to Vaidehi and Milind for putting this panel together and presenting such a wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Yes. I'd like to thank Mr. Shatrughan Sinha also. For short notice, he also came. Anita ji, Kapur Saab, Uma ji.
Thank you.
बहुत शुक्रिया, and we are looking forward to the book, Amborish. So all the best to you, and it would be a wonderful book. To have a book on Raj Khosla itself is a great idea. I mean, we need that.
Thank you.
So Sriram sir, Karan sir, Kaushal, Amborish.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.